The environment's going to be great. It's going to be really loud. So we're going to handle the environment, especially early, and we're going to need to play really, really well to beat these guys and stay on schedule and do good things.
What were some of your takeaways from last game after you had some time to watch the film?
Yeah, a lot of things. I think, in the first half, I thought, we were fairly balanced, and then, we came out in the second half, and, there's, a few things that went on that, obviously I didn't do a good enough job. We need to do a better job of executing. So there's just a lot of things that went on that we need to do a better job.
Coach Zimmer mentioned still wanting to run the ball even more. Do you agree with that assessment, or was it, situational based, or how do you?
Yeah, there was, I thought in the first half, I thought we were pretty balanced. When you take out the third downs and those things, but there's, during that mock drive, there was probably, I went back and self-scouted myself. There were 2 or 3 instances where we threw the football, like on that 1st and 10 from around the 26, that we probably should have run the football. And I made that, aware to him and my thoughts on that. And, it's just like anybody, I look to go out each week and improve myself. So you're always self-evaluating yourself and looking for ways to get better.
Flip, when, 2 weeks ago, Coach Zimmer said maybe there was too much volume in the offense. He said a couple times we should run the ball more. Some people think maybe the coach and the offense coordinator aren't on the same page. How do you kind of look at that when you hear the coach saying things like that?
Well, if it was new to, Coach and I are in constant communication of how, to make this offense better. And we talk all the time. And there's certain things that, he believes in and that I believe in as well. And so, we're always looking for ways to tighten things up, make things simpler, but at the same time, look hard for the defense. So, it's a fine line. And so we work very, very closely together to make sure that happens.
You came from working with a very offensive coach who had his hands on the playbook and everything. How is it different, or is it strange at all to work with a head coach who, kind of leaves that up to you, or doesn't?
No, I wouldn't say it's strange. I've been in this situation before. The last time I was a coordinator, I worked for, a defensive head coach. And I really enjoy, working for offensive head coaches, defensive head coaches, and because they all provide a different, way of seeing the game. And, I've learned a ton from Coach Zim. And, you're forced to, because you have to go out and in the OTAs and in training camp, you go out and block some of those looks and have answers for some of those looks. So, I've learned through not only just talking with him, but at the same time going up against his scheme every day has made me a better coach personally.
Are there times where you're looking at where Kirk's audibling out of run plays that, you have communication on the sideline afterwards about, well, what did you see? Because I know it's obviously he has that authority at the line for what he sees, but would you like to see maybe less of that sometimes?
You know what? Kirk really hasn't audibled out of a ton of runs. Here's what we have, and I don't like to talk too much scheme in here, but we have what we call kills, okay, which are, they could be run to run, run to pass, pass to run. We go into the game depending on the look of the defense. If they're giving us a certain look, we're going to run the football. If they're going to give us a certain look, we're going to pass the football. And I thought New England did a really nice job of, kind of disguising what they were doing, especially on third down. So there were a few times we had some, a pass run check on, and we threw it, and they got out and played cover 2. And then one time we hit them on a nice run when we got out of a pass and killed it to a run. So you're going to get fooled every once in a while on some of those kills, and especially when you're going against a defense like the Patriots. But Kirk's done a great job with those all season. So that's not on Kirk.
A lot of people think about
how difficult is it, John, to pull the trigger on a run call when you don't have an offensive line that's really established itself as a consistent run?
Well, I think we've gotten better as the season's gone on, and I think the last few weeks you've seen us pop some good gains, and I think a lot of that has to deal with finally some cohesion on the offensive line. I think that has to do a lot with Dalvin finally being back to, I don't want to speak for him, but looking kind of back to what he looked early last season. So I think as we go along here, I think you'll see more of that, and obviously we just got to keep grinding away at it.
Yeah, with Dalvin kind of back to early last season form, he had a couple of 20 carry games early last season. This season he only has 1 game with more than 10 carries. Is the hope to maybe get Dalvin back to that 20 carry type guy that he showed early last year?
Yeah, absolutely, and not obviously 20 carries, that's a lot, and I think we try, we don't always succeed, but we try to find creative ways to get Dalvin the football in space. And sometimes that's not just handing the ball off from the backfield. Sometimes that's throwing him a swing screen, or trying to get him out in the flat for we did on first down the other night for a gain of 5, which if you're in the run world, it's an efficient run. So there's different ways to try to get an athlete like that in space. That's just always not just from the backfield. But yes, would we like to see him carry the ball more? Absolutely.
When the Seahawks put 8 in the box as often as they do, and you're looking for ways to get the ball to your playmakers when they can make something happen, does that make it tougher to kind of be able to run the ball downhill when you're going to see that much 8 in the box?
Sure, it does. And I think that you're seeing the majority of the NFL in an 8-man box now, or if you're an 11 personnel, what we call a hard 7-man box. So there's ways you can get around it. Is it simple like in the old days where they give you a too high shell and you run the football against a favorable box? That's not the world we live in anymore. So you got to find some creative ways to get the ball on the perimeter. Those could be through screens, wide receiver screens, running back screens, unique ways of getting the ball on the edge. So we just got to keep finding ways to do that and get our playmakers in space.
A lot of people think about balance on offense as 50-50 run pass, but I mean, is that realistic anymore in today's NFL? And what do you kind of view as the ideal split?
Here's the way I view balance. To me, I think each game is different. I really do. I'm a firm believer in that. And each way you attack an opponent is different. I think if you just go in with the same plan to attack an opponent each week, I don't think that at times is going to give you the best chance for success. So I think you try to exploit the weakness of whatever you view that defense is, and find different ways to exploit that part of their defense. And just like the way the defenses do against offense, if you're struggling against the blitz, they're going to blitz you. If you're struggling against cover 2, they're going to play cover 2. So it's very similar back and forth between the offense and the defense in terms of each week's different. And so balance to me is going to be different each week.
You talked a little bit about, I think you talked a couple of weeks ago about it's a single safety middle league now, and that brings that safety down. What triggered that shift over time from the 2 high safeties to now that single safety in the middle?
It's a good question. You know what? Probably, they're just trying to make you a little bit more one-dimensional. And I think that's maybe why you see some of the passing numbers up. I mean, they're giving you more free access on the outside, to throw a 6-yard hitch, to throw what we call an Omaha, which is a 6-yard out. You're getting some of those throws which, equate into runs, and so very rarely now, unless teams are playing low quarters where those safeties are right at the line of scrimmage, you're getting a lot of too high. 2-minute drills, sometimes in the red zone, you'll play a red 2 team or red 4 team. But very rarely in the open field now are you getting a lot of too high safeties. So I think it's the defensive mentality of trying to make you one-dimensional, and hopefully, I'm sure in their minds they have the horses up front to try to get after the passer.
Flip, well, obviously nothing can shake out until after the regular season. Your name gets thrown out every time there's a head coaching opening in the NFL. How do you kind of handle that outside noise when your name is being bannered about in common circles?
Yeah, I really, I'm very fortunate that I'm pretty much in this building about 18 to 20 hours a day. So I don't hear a lot of that outside noise, good or bad. And so I'm just dead set on doing my job right now. And we have a quarter of our season left. That's a very, very important quarter. And for me to think of anything besides our football team would be doing a lot of people a disservice.
John, what goes through your mind when you see more and more weeks where head coaches, coordinators, position coaches getting fired in this business?
I don't like to see anybody get fired. I hate this time of year. I hate this time of year, and because you have a lot of good coaches that are your friends that maybe you've worked with or you work with currently, in the past, that you see that happen to. There's what gets lost in this whole thing to me. And I'm a little biased to it because I was one of those kids. Okay, there's a family side to this thing. There's a person side to this thing that people, to me, do not factor into at all. Okay, and that actually makes me a little upset at times. I was one of those kids. I grew up this way, so I'm a little bit sensitive to it. Okay. And so I don't like seeing anybody get fired. And I hate this time of year. Absolutely hate it. Because it brings back memories of my childhood and the way I grew up, okay? Seeing my dad in the paper getting bashed, okay? So I don't like it. So it's a tough time of year.
As you look back at the first 12 games of the season, you know, what are some of the things that you think that kind of overall from those first three quarters of the season you guys need to improve on offensively?
Just consistency. You know, consistency in the red zone on third downs. And I apologize for getting heated up there. I didn't mean to. Just that one hit home a little bit. So just consistency in the red zone on third downs. And you know, that's what we need to work on. And the thing about the whole, you know, running the ball thing, to me, like a lot of that, you know, when you saw us against Green Bay, okay, we're 7-14 on third down. That allows you to have more plays. And so we were 1 of 5 in the first half of the night against New England, which obviously that's not good enough. I think we're 3 of 13 or 4 of 13 overall. It just doesn't allow you to have any consistent drives. So, you know, that's what we need to just keep always striving to do is just stay consistent with third down, red zone, situational football, because that allows you to extend drives and extend plays.
Is there anything instructive that you do with your quarterbacks before either a cold weather game or a possible rain game? Or is that just a mentality they have to have, or do you actually do things to prepare for that?
You have a wet ball drill, you know, at the end of the week or whatever, but to me, I think it's like anything, if you I don't want to say overhype something, but if you you know, hey, it's going to be rain, talk about rain all week, rain. Well, our quarterback, you know, has played in the Big Ten, you know, so he's played in some inclement weather. I mean, he's from Michigan, so he's played inclement weather before, and so we're fortunate that, you know, he can throw it pretty good, you know, with a wet ball.
Last couple.
We good? Thanks.